Let's do it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to GarageBand Weekly for yet another week. We've got a bunch of GarageBand related goodness coming up for you on the show today. Yes, all GarageBand all the time. But if it's your first time here, my name is Pete, and this is Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record, and release your best music. And one of the platforms I love using is GarageBand. Let's jump in to the news and notes of the last week. So, how has 2020 been for Apple? Well, we have seen so many new products. No one can accuse Apple of just sort of sitting on their hands in the last year and not getting some new stuff out there. We have seen the iPad Pro. Remember the 2020 iPad Pro way back in the day? The iPad Air 4, a whole set of new iPhone 12s, 4 of them in fact. The HonePod Mini, everyone remember that one? The Apple Watch has had an upgrade. We've had Apple Fitness announced, which is about to launch. Yeah, it's been a big year for Apple, and we've still got Airtags and the iPod Studio headphones, which we haven't seen yet, but are apparently rumored to be floating around the place. But here's the thing. One more thing, in fact, we've got another Apple announcement coming up in 24 hours time. So by this time tomorrow, we will have had our third, what they call the fall 2020. I don't understand fall. I think it's like autumn, but different. Someone can tell me in the chat. We have the new Apple event, and what is being rumored for this new Apple event is new Apple Silicon Macs. What's a Silicon Mac? Is it a computer made out of silicon? No, it's the new chips that they're planning to use. So a bit of a history lesson here. Apple originally used a custom chip. They switched to Intel. I don't know the year off the top of my head, about 10 plus years ago, and they've been using Intel chips. Intel are the ones who make the Pentium and the i5s, the i7s, the i-whatevers for your PCs as well. But they're switching back. They're going back to an Apple Silicon processor, which is their own processor, meaning that they have complete control over all the hardware and all the software. So what we're expecting to see in tomorrow's reveal is new Macs. What new Macs in particular? Probably a 13-inch MacBook Air and or a 13-inch MacBook Pro and or a 16-inch MacBook Pro. That is what all of the leak sites are telling us at the moment, and most of those are reasonably accurate most of the time. So we should see that. Will we see anything else? Will we get the Airtags, those little tile-like devices? Will we get the over-the-ear Apple AirPod Studio headphones? Your guess is as good as mine at this point. I've kind of got out of the game of trying to predict things. I just listen to what all the experts say and then go, yeah, probably that. So that is what's coming up. I will be here doing another show tomorrow after the announcement, so keep an eye on the channel for that one. We'll break down what goes on, but here's the thing. It is nice that our Mac friends are getting a bit of love. It's been an iOS-heavy year with, like I say, with 2 new iPads and 4 new iPhones in 1 year. Actually, we had a new iPad too, didn't we? I buried it. We have the new iPad 2020 as well. So yeah, we've actually had 3 new iPads and 4 new iPhones in this 1 year. And yeah, gone are the days of, simplification and just, one device to rule them all. What else is in the news? Well, Apple have updated iPadOS again to 14.2 now, up from 14.1. There's not a whole lot in this new update apart from some more bug fixes and improvement, enhancement, performance, whatevers. So yeah, you can go ahead and update. If you're already taken the plunge and you're on 14, you might as well update. There seems to be no drawback going to 14.2. I've said it the last 3 weeks in a row, though. If you are in the middle of a crucial project or you have apps that you are unsure whether they will work, don't update yet. Just wait until you absolutely need to. If you're in the middle of a big project, the last thing you want to do is find that one of your apps doesn't work in the new platform. So that is my recommendation. So yeah, news and notes, 2020, a big year for Apple. Can they sneak another one under the bar? Can we have a Christmas event from Apple? I don't know. We will soon find out. Hello to the folks who are here live. I can see we've got that weird kid. Light Studios here. Tom, Rochelle, SM Borthwick, Darren, Danny, Luke, Gary, Hubs, Ducash. We've got Jade Star in the house. Scott's here. We've got Game Guinea Pig. That's an interesting one. We've got Eves here, Metalhead Hippie, hello to you. Clearly Epic, Lady Rodaline is in the house. And Arjit, hello to you. hello to you all. If you have questions as we go along, there is an opportunity for questions and answers. If you're here live, you can drop those in the chat. Just put the word question in front. So if you do have a question, do that. Put the word question in front of your comment and I'll be able to spot it and I'll circle back and try to answer it. But for now, let's continue on. Oh, and if you're on the replay, by the way, if you're watching the replay of this, drop a comment down below if you've got any questions or comments about this. Are you going to buy a new MacBook if they do come out? In fact, that might be a good question. Let's poll the audience here. Do you currently own a Mac? And would you consider upgrading to the new Mac with Apple Silicon? I didn't really explain Silicon. We talked about it last week, but basically it's using the A14 chip or a derivation of the A14 chip. So the same chip that's in the new iPad Air 4 and the new iPhone 12s is the one that's going to be used. And the benefit this will have in the future is it will make the architecture, the hardware side of your iPads and iPhones and your Macs very similar. Meaning the speculation is you'll be able to have cross-platform apps, which could be next level epic. Alrighty, let's move on to our feature topic. And our feature topic this week is something that was inspired by a channel that I've been watching a heap in the last week. It's a guy from Australia, and his name is Hugh Jeffreys. You can check him out. I'll put a link down in the description. I meant to do it before the show, but if you search for Hugh Jeffreys, and what Hugh Jeffreys does is he restores old Apple devices, so old iPhones and iPads and MacBooks and Macs, and he does a lot of repairs. And it got me thinking because he's talked a couple of times about the right to repair and the fact that our good friends at Apple with their iPhones and their iPads and their MacBooks actually make life fairly difficult for third-party repairers. Now, you can speculate till the cows come home about why this is. Is it money? Is it for quality control and consistency? Is it just because they want to be a dick? I don't know. I'll let you speculate on that. But what do you think about this? Should Apple give you the right to repair your own device? So here's the challenges when you get a new iPhone. You can't get into this. Like, gone are the days where there's a couple of screws on the back and you can get into them. These are sealed in. These are glued down. So you have to actually get the glue off them before you can actually get inside. Then you need special types of screwdrivers because the screws in there are far from standard to actually remove things. There's other things that are a problem here. Like if you have an older iPhone, like my rather dated but still very cool iPhone 6s, then the home buttons are actually paired to the screen and to the chip in here. So it's not even hard enough that you have to get them open and then replace the components. If you replace the home button here with a brand new home button, because it's not paired to the original iPhone that you pulled it out of, it ain't going to work. And that to me is next level not cool, because if you've got an old device like this, you shouldn't have to take it back to the manufacturer. They should not be the only one that are allowed to or able to actually repair it. And by locking down, by linking different components to that particular phone's chipset is doing exactly that. Is this going to change anytime soon? Probably not. It's probably going to continue to get worse. And Apple are far from the only company that does this. Companies want to have control. There's whole lines in their profit and loss statement that are people returning and upgrading and getting refurbished ones. Have you noticed that if you've ever had a broken Apple device, they don't ever just fix it? Well, very rarely, unless it's a really simple thing, they don't fix it. They take it away to their special back room and then they bring you out and they're like, here's a refurbished one we prepared earlier. And then they give you a refurbished iPhone or iPad. The old one then goes into the pile of stuff, and then they're the only ones who can reuse those components, the good things out of there, to reuse them. Now that's good. I'm all for reuse, but shouldn't we have the ability to actually fix our own stuff or go to someone else that's not Apple that can fix it? Because if you watch Hugh Jeffreys' channel, and I recommend you do, he's fixing iPhones that have got like completely cracked screens, completely broken batteries for about $60. Now you take that same iPhone into Apple, you ain't paying no $60 to get that thing repaired. So what do you think? Right to repair. It's an interesting topic. And like I say, this isn't just me pointing the finger at Apple. There's a lot of other manufacturers that do very similar things. We are in a disposable tech society, which is super sad because Gone are the days where you have your thing and you can get in there under the hood and fix it and repair it and do what you want to do with it. So let me know what you think about that one. Gary Hub says, and here it is. I replaced the screen on my iPhone 4S years ago, but every new design gets more complicated. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Scott's answering about the Mac. So have an older MacBook, but rely on iOS for music. Considering the new MacBook on ARM, since it will support iOS apps, maybe look into Logic at that point. We'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much how I view things at the moment as well. And because I don't have a Mac, it's probably a little bit more tempting for me to jump in. Yes, and as it's in Borthwick says, a good luthier could steam off the glue for you. Oh wait, yeah, you do have to be careful about how you do that. And Lewis, so Jade's got a suggestion here. Lewis Rossman is another cool person who's leading the legal battles against the US for right to repair. There you go. We've got more tips there. I'll just see if we've got any other comments or anything. You can't even upgrade the RAM in your MacBooks. Yeah, everything is just, no, you don't get to touch it. And to be honest, it's why I've stuck with PCs for so long, because I wanted to have the ability. Like my desktop PC, even though I'm far from technical when it comes to this stuff, I can get in there, I can add a new hard drive, I can replace the RAM, I can do whatever I want in there. I could even replace the processor if I wanted to, add a new video card, whatever it is. But yeah, if you're using a Mac, it just seems to be so much more locked down. Gary says his iMac is almost 10 years old, getting long in the tooth. Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, any other experiences you've had, and especially if you're watching on the replay, if you've got experiences, you can throw those down in the comments because I'd love to hear you. Gary Hub says, I think they charge a $60 cover at the door. Well, yeah, it's interesting. You go to the Apple store. I may go there today just to, poke around and look at the new iPhones. But yeah, you basically have to sign your life away and join a queue and put on a mask. And it's an ordeal now. It used to be fun going to the Apple store. Now it's like going to a doctor's appointment, but more paperwork. Lady Rodeline says, I had my iPad 3 months when the screen cracked around the home button. Stupid money to repair, so it's not happening. Yeah, and how many people have, like, here's my other one. How many people have iPhones that have something like that going on? Like, this is my iPhone 6S Plus, and it's got this crack in the bottom corner of the screen. Does nothing to affect its usability, so I still use it. Would love to get it repaired, but this isn't, they won't repair this. This is just a broken phone. This is just, we need to give you a refurb, and I haven't priced it lately. Maybe someone can do the research, but it's going to be several $100s, and it's just not worth it, considering it still works. I only really use this for demo purposes here in the studio, so it works absolutely fine for doing that. So there you go. Alrighty, let's continue on. We'll see if we have any questions. Andy Goldsby says, yeah, I'm that right. I went 6 months with a cracked screen. Yeah, and again, use your cases, people. Definitely use your cases and use your screen protectors, especially on your phones. Get yourself a tempered glass screen protector. $10 compared to, the several hundy you're going to go down if you need to repair one. We'll have a quick coffee break and then we'll answer a question here from Lee Davies. And Lee asks, hi Pete, question from my friend. He wants to use just a condenser mic and guitar. Would you recommend the Focus 2i2 or will the Solo do? The Solo will definitely do. Here's the thing you need to ask yourself with either the 2i2 or the Solo. And the same thing if you're using a Steinberg, whether you go the UR12, which is a single mic and a guitar input, a 1/4 inch, or the Steinberg UR22, it all comes down to stereo. If you ever want to record two mics at once, so a stereo mic pair, or you want to record a stereo line-in signal, like from a keyboard or a synthesizer or some E-drums or something like that, then go for the 2i2 or the UR22. If you never want to care about stereo, then you can go for the one-channel option. Even though they're still two channels, but you've got one channel for your mic and one channel for your instrument. So that's how it breaks down in my view. If you never want to do anything stereo, and you're definitely never going to want to hook up two mics at the same time, then you can get away with the Solo or the UR12. But stereo miking on an acoustic guitar even can be pretty fun. So you do need to buy two microphones and you do need to do some magic work with positioning, but it can be fun. Maybe I'll do a video. I haven't done a stereo guitar video for a long time. Maybe that's something I should do in the next couple of weeks. But hopefully that helps you out, Lee, and helps your friend out as well with the decision. between those two, because it is a big decision. It's about a $50 difference between the two devices. So you want to make sure you get it right, but you're not spending cash that you don't need to do. Darren's also got a hint here. Says check out iPad Rehab YouTube channel. They're based out of New York, and they do what Apple says can't be done. Yeah, it's very cool. And Jade's talked about this before, that when you have a locked down environment, what does it do? Well, it just makes people be really, really creative with how they actually get things done. So it's very cool. Hello to you, Black Juvan. Knock on wood. Lol, I get the most heavy duty cases. Yeah, absolutely. Get yourself a case and a screen protector, because if you're walking around with your naked phone, things are going to go wrong. I've dropped this iPhone XS I've had for about 20 months, about 4 months away from my 2 years where I've paid it off. And I've dropped it upwards of 10 times. It's got a few little bumps and dings on the corners just from where it hasn't been fully protected, but screen, perfect condition. Back, not scratched, perfect condition. It just means that when you go to resell it, you're going to get a good price for it. So yeah, anyone in the market for an iPhone XS? I need me some iPhone 12 upgrade money. Lady Online says, yeah, about 600 to repair in the UK. Yeah, you get to the point where the repair prices are so high that it's why people just buy a new one. And it's designed exactly for that. They don't want the repair prices to be too low, or, you'll repair your old device and not throw it into e-waste. Right? Yeah, we need to reduce e-waste. It's getting a bit ridiculous and out of hand. So Jade says, I'll never use a screen protector. They harbour filth, but you do you. Yeah, well, if you're not going to drop your phone and you're not going to crack your screen, then that's cool. But it's kind of that thing. Like it's like insurance policies, right? Don't not have insurance. Don't buy a car so expensive you can't afford the insurance, and then crash the car and then come crying to someone that you crashed your car. Just use the insurance. The same with the screen protector. If you don't want to use it, that's absolutely fine. You do you. But at the same time, you then have zero right to cry if you drop your phone and the screen cracks. That's the way I look at it anyway. Question here from Joe G says, hey Pete, how do I record an amp without a mic? I've been looking for an efficient way to do it, and I'm not sure what to do. So, an amp without a mic. It depends on the amp, and it depends on your interface. So most amps, some amps, have an output, so they'll have a 1/4-inch output. Some amps that have sort of stereo reverb processing will even have line outputs, which are stereo line out, so a left and a right. But most will have at least a throughput and an output that can send the exact signal that the amp is processing coming out. Now, depending on the type of amp, you're not going to get the exact same sound. It's like the difference between playing an acoustic and recording it with a microphone, or using the pickup and recording that. The amp sound, a lot of the amp sound is what's actually coming out of the speaker and the cone and what it's putting into space. So the reason you mic up an amp cabinet or an amp speaker is that you want to get the actual sound of the amp. That being said, if you want to get something that's reasonably close, it's at least getting the processing of the amp. If you plug the line out, which is usually a 1/4-inch, or like I say, 2/4-inch or RCA, and then plug that into an audio interface, you can record that way. You're going to have to be really careful with the gain control. So turning the gain and the overdrive to the point where you're just going to balance it out right, because you can very easily overload it and send a really hot signal into like an instrument input, and that's just going to either cause damage or sound really bad. So my recommendation is turn every volume down and very gently and carefully turn it up, because especially if you're using a consumer grade audio interface, you don't want to be pushing a really hot signal through a 1/4-inch input into one of those. So, and similar to what we said before, if you want stereo, you'll need the 2i2 or the UR22. If you're only ever going to record mono out of your amplifier or out of any other audio source, then you can get away with the Scarlett Solo or the UR12. So hopefully that helps you out. And what did I see? Did I see Andy? Andy's got a Scarlett coming on the way. Well, a Scarlett Solo. That's cool. I like it. And we've got Andy and Gary talking about their different devices that they're using. Let's continue on here and see what's going down. Where are we up to? I got off on a weird tangent there. If anyone has any other questions, please do drop that in the chat here. And again, if you're on the replay, drop it in the comments. And if you're enjoying this, if you're enjoying the rants and the random ramblings, then yeah, feel free to hit the like button. It's just down there. You can leave a comment. You can hit the like button. That just tells YouTube and me that I should keep getting up early on my Monday mornings and chatting about GarageBand, even though I'd probably do it anyway. Let's be honest. I love talking GarageBand. Speaking of GarageBand, now it's been it's been a bit of an Apple finger pointing show here today. Sometimes people say to me, "Oh man, for what you do for GarageBand and for iPads and iPhones, Apple should totally pay you." And then I point to a couple of videos and say, "Apple would not want to pay me, considering some of the things I say." I'm far from an Apple fanboy. I'm also not an Apple hater. I'm somewhere in between. I use products made by a company whose practices I don't always agree with. And that's what we're talking about in my rant of the week. How much should we care about Apple, or for that matter, any business's actual practices? Now, I swing around on this one, which is why I wanted to put it out there and ask you folks. Because here's the thing. I've reached a point in my life where I struggle to get, I used to get very passionate and very angry about things. I've actually reached a point in my life where I struggle to get that worked up. And I don't know whether it's a lowering of expectations and an acceptance that the corporate world will do what the corporate world will do. I don't know whether it's 20 years of working in the corporate world where I've just seen time after time where things like profit are put ahead of customers. Or I don't just think that it's like I want to have a happy life now. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm like, I don't have the energy to be angry about this stuff anymore. But I wanted to put it out there because, again, the right to repair stuff, the fact that we've got all these new models of iPhone coming out, the fact that it was actually sparked by this. During the week, you may have seen that Apple did their usual thing that they do, which is iOS 14 had been out for a while. I got a notification on my phone saying your iPhone will be automatically updated to iOS 14 tonight. And I'm like, I am 100% positive I had auto updates off. Yes, this is something that happens when Apple put out a new iOS version. They want everyone to move to that new iOS version. Again, you can speculate about why that is, that they want you to go to the new one so your phone slows down so you go buy a new phone. I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think they just want uniformity, and they'll say things like, oh, it's the security. It's got better security, or it's got better features. It's got bug fixes. We want you on there. But if you don't want to, it can be really difficult to continually tell Apple that you don't want to update. So like on my Windows PC, I say, turn off Windows update auto updates and turn off downloads. And then I could go in and do it separately. I don't these days because, believe it or not, I actually trust Microsoft quite a lot these days. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. But when it comes to my iPhone, if I turn off auto updates, could you please just leave it off? I don't even care if you put up a notification saying a new update is available. Like, nag me, that's cool. Put a little red 1 next to my settings icon, which I think there still is in here. Let me take a look. I think it won't go away until I actually do it. Yep, look at that. We've got the red 1. Can we see this over here? We've got the red 1. No, you can't see it very well. Trust me, it's there. It's there annoying me, telling me that we've got that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this rant is going, except to say that I really do just wish that we'd have a little bit more control over these things, that we could have the right to repair our own devices, that we weren't pushed into this upgrade cycle that just seems to be getting faster and faster, and that we weren't being told what we can do. If I'm going to pay you $1,500 for a phone, can I at least just then do what I want with it? Please? Is that too much to ask? I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'm just getting a little bit over it. But again, I'm not getting angry because I don't have the energy to spare. I'll get passionate, I'll get a bit ranty, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to move on because people say, well, go and use an Android. I can't make music on an Android. I probably could. And in fact, I'd be more than happy to be corrected by someone that makes music using an Android device. I just haven't come across too many folks that are even trying it. So if you are one of those, please leave me a comment. Send me to your channel. If you're an Android music creator, I would love to see how it's done. Use a Mac, well, same problem. Use a PC, I do. I also use a PC. So yeah, let me know what you think. So clearly Epic says, yeah, completely believe in the democratization of all industries, music production, technology, cinema, etc. Anything that moves away from democratization is a move towards monopoly. Yeah, and I mean, look, Apple do have a monopoly on mobile music creation. I would say that right now. I don't know that there's another device that can create music on a mobile device as well as your Apple device can, and I'll accept that, and I'll take it, I'll cop it, but it doesn't mean I have to always love doing so. But again, it's not worth my blood pressure increasing to get too worried about it. I'll have a wee rant about it. It'll be cathartic. I'll walk away. I'll fire up GarageBand and I'll make some music. I think I saw another one. SM Borthwick says, I'm getting Apple pushing iOS 14 on me too, even though I don't have auto update on. Yeah, as I went and asked around, it seems to be happening for everyone, and it seems to happen every time we have a new update. Yeah. And here's the thing from Jade. Yeah, they have always used the fact that iOS users move to new version, whereas Android updates are controlled by carriers. Yeah, which is, and look, at least it's not that way around. At least I don't have to wait for Vodafone to tell me I'm allowed to update the software on my hardware, or the firmware, or the operating system on my hardware. That would be a bad one. But yeah, it does make it different. And it's harder to maintain different versions of software. That's true. That's a good point from Sion, is that if you've got an iPhone and an iPad, I'm already having the problem where I can't, any new projects I've worked on GarageBand in iOS 14, can't load on this one because they have the new features and they won't load up. So yeah, there is that. We've got a comment here. I'm iPhone in conjunction with Logic, iCloud, GarageBand to Logic wherever I am. Yeah, it is cool. And that's the thing. That's why I can't get too angry about this, because every time I get super angry, or not super angry, every time I get on the verge of starting to get a bit, grr about this sort of stuff, I think about what I'm actually complaining about and how, like, we live in the future, and that if you told me even 10 years ago that this little device in my hand, this piece of glass and aluminium, would be what I use to create records, I would just call you a liar and then kick you out of my house. But it is. We live in the future. And I always think of the Louis C.K. bit he did about flying and about people complaining about flying. And I actually did a song about complaining about flying. But yeah, when people complain about flying, it's like, oh no, it's so bad because my flight was delayed by an hour. Oh, it's snowing and there's a storm, so my plane can't take off. There's a problem with the engine that they, want to fix, so we're delayed and we're sitting on the tarmac. And then you think, you are going to get into a tube and be blasted into space, and you're complaining that your bag of peanuts is too small. So yeah, I completely get that. It's perspective. It's about gratitude and being grateful of the fact that we live here in the future, and it's a little bit ridiculous. That being said, Apple, just don't make me update and let me repair my own phone. All right, enough said. Super ranty here today. Oh, don't know. Hello to Eves. Says, being an IT guy since 1975 and work with mainframe, Mac, Windows, Android, my experience says, if you don't like fiddling with software, stay close to Apple. Otherwise, you have to go with your value. And that's the other thing. For all of the challenges that you get running in the Apple environment, because they do hold your hand and they do help you out with things, you don't have to know a lot of stuff. So their argument would be, we want you to get back to your work and to get back to creating, not have to worry about the fact that one RAM chip that you installed yourself when you didn't really know what you were doing was not installed properly and it's not seated correctly, and therefore you're getting these weird errors in your Windows, which you then need to go and update and reinstall yourself. So yeah, I get it. For the consumer level, it's actually pretty cool. All right, that's enough. We've ranted way longer than I thought, because it's usually a 30-minute show. And we haven't even got to our practical demonstration purposes, and we're like halfway through. So let's do that. Let's jump over to the iPad now. So we'll bring it up here. Boom. And we'll come in here and go into our ideas folder, because we're going to create something today. Because our tip of the week, I wanted to talk about Apple Loops here, because Apple Loops are cool. And if you haven't used Apple Loops much, I'm going to show you a few things about them that you may or may not know, because people creating music with loops, sometimes it's looked down upon. But did you know that there's 3 different types of loops here that are Apple Loops, and they actually have some pretty awesome customization options? So let's jump in and show you some of those now. We'll just open up a new one here. We'll turn on monitoring and make sure our audio is working. We'll pump up the volume here on our mixer to make sure that's coming through. Now, to get to your Apple loops, you may already know this, but we go to our track view by tapping in the top left here, and then we tap on this little sucker here in the top right corner. I don't know why I have so many files in there. I've got a lot of things stored here in my files. So these are all manual things that you can actually bring into your project. But if you want to use Apple loops, you can use this one here. And here are all of the loops that we have. Now, there's a few ways to navigate through here. You can go by instrument, so you can tap instrument and choose what instrument you want. You can tap on your genre, and you can choose a particular genre. I've got sound effects set here at the moment as my genre. Or you can go into the descriptors, and you can find different things in there. So because there's literally thousands of them in here, you can do all of those things. Now, I've got the filter by here on sound packs right now. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to reset the filter. And you know what? I want to do some funk. I want to get some funk going on here today. So let's hit the funk and let's find something funky. We want a funky beat to kick us off with it. Let's try the down with a beat, shall we? That sounds like this. Oh yeah. So as you saw there, to preview the beat, we just tap on it. To bring it into our track, we tap and drag, and we just drop it into a new, fresh track. So this ensures that the icon's set correctly, that the actual sound will go in there. And you notice here that it was a 4-bar beat, but I've dropped it into an 8-bar section, and it's made it 8 bars. If you want to change the number of bars that this beat is going to be, we hit the plus button, we tap on this one, and let's bring it up to 16 beats, shall we? So we'll go 16. Now, 16 bars, sorry. Now you can also tap and hold and drag on up and drag on down. And we recently had an update where we've now got up to 2,000 bars. It used to be 640, now 2,000. That's pretty cool. We'll drag it on down and we'll go back to 16 bars. And you'll see here, because we're using a loop, it's going to loop all the way through those 16 bars. Don't want it to loop like that. Just grab the loop at the end here, drop it back, and it's just going to be the 4 bars. So if you wanted to change it up and do something funky, you can now just copy it and paste it and have different versions if you wanted to, say, reverse one of them or change it. We're just going to go with a straight loop here. So boom, we've looped it on in there, and there's our basic beat. But that's not all. When it comes to Apple loops, you can use other things that are not just audio loops. You can use MIDI loops and drummer loops. So let's show you those now. We'll tap on the loops icon. I'm not sure if any of these funk ones are going to be. Oh, I saw one. There you go. We have a funk. Now, what do we go with? The garden party keys or the fast forward synth? I like the sound of the fast forward synth. This is in our new keyboard collection. So let's sample this one. We'll tap on it. Oh yeah. You know where it's at. Oh, sorry, golden party keys. You may be cool, but that's already too cool. So we'll grab this synth. We'll throw this on a second track. And there you go. It's done the same thing. It's mixed it up here. We've got the 4 sections of the 4 bars all in this one beat. And we bring these together. How cool is that? Like, that's, 2 loops and we've got that together. And now it's almost like that, just the two of us. So we got ourselves the start of some pretty nice funk. Now, there's one more type of loop in here, and excuse me, I need to cough. Sorry, there's one more type of loop in here, which is our drummer loops. So yeah, we can actually use drummer loops as well. So if we come in here, tap on our loop icon. Now let's see if there's any drummer loops in the funk. There may not be. No, there's not. So we're looking for yellow. So your blue loops are audio loops, which means they're just an audio file. You bring those into your track, they're an audio file. You can't really edit them. You can't do much else with them. We can do a few things. We'll show you in a minute. But what we want to find now is a drummer loop. So we don't have any funky drummer loops, so we'll untick funk there. And let's just find, now Anders is going to be, Anders is our rock drummer, so he's going to be a bit intense. But I think someone like Benny might be able to give us something, just something a little bit on top of this. So why don't we grab the Funky Brothers from Benny? That sounds like this. Maybe. Why don't we try something else? Yeah, we want something a little bit more subtle here from Benny. All right, no, I think Funky Brothers is going to do it. So what we could do is we could tap and drag this one and bring it on here as a third loop. And now we've got a beautiful, colorful loop section here where we've got one audio loop, one MIDI loop, and one drummer loop. Together, they sound like this. Pretty cool, yeah? So what can we do with each of these loops? Let's start with the audio loops. With this one, if we tap this, we've got a bunch of different things we can do here. We can go into settings. We can change the gain, which is just your volume, which is the same as this volume slider. You can change the speed, which is cool. You can go to 2x or 4x, or even quarter or half speed if you want to change up the feel. So why don't we go to half speed on that one? You can turn looping on and off. You can follow the tempo and pitch, which we don't really have time to go into in this one, but there's another video on Apple Loops where I show you all about that. That basically just means that this loop will beat match, it will match the tempo that we've got in this track, and it will also match the key if it's a melodic type loop. We can even reverse it. So you've got some control there, and you can transpose it, so you can actually take the tone up and down if you want to on this one. So we'll hit done on all of that. So let's take a listen to this now with this halftime. Not really, right? So we'll undo that one. We don't really want it to be that way. Now, the difference with the MIDI loop is you've actually got much more control over this one. So with this one, yeah, you can transpose it. So if you go to your settings, you can make it higher or lower using this setting here. But on our MIDI loops, we can actually tap it and go to the edit and jump into the piano roll editor. And we can actually edit all of the different notes that this is playing. So if we play this along here, take a look. So if I wanted to add like a top note to this chord here, we can turn that on. And if we come on in here, we can come in here and go. So say I wanted to put a note right up the top here like this, and then another one here. We can drag these out, and you see you've got complete control over where you put the notes. You can adjust them. And again, I've got complete videos about how to use the piano roll editor to do all this sort of stuff. But if we come in here now, you would listen, and we've got this additional note on the top of this chord. So you get some really good control over this stuff, yeah? That's not it. We can then use a lot of other features in here. You've got your settings option that you can transpose things around. You can move them up and down octaves and semitones. So say we wanted this to be a tone lower. We just double tap on this one, down 2 semitones. Now let's take a listen. So you can very quickly adjust and change around your sound. So that's your 3 different loop types here in GarageBand. Let's look at this last one, the drummer loop. Now, if you haven't used the auto drummer here in GarageBand, it's pretty darn cool. We'll tap on the drummer icon here. We can actually change this up. So you know how I said, because I already have a beat, I wanted this to be a little bit more of a subtle beat? What I can actually do is say, take out the kick and the snare, leave the hi-hat in, and maybe add a cymbal here, or sorry, not a cymbal, what's that? A tambourine or a shaker. Let's go with a shaker here on the percussion. So now Benny's actually gone a bit more subtle here. If we play it now, let's solo that one. Hear that? So now Benny's just got the hi-hat going on and that little shaker in the middle there. We bring the beats back in. And then our synth. Right? So there's complete customization here. And you can hear there that we've taken something that was pretty generic, but using these tools, using the different ways you can adjust and alter the different loops, you can actually get a pretty cool custom beat and custom sound here in GarageBand. And there you go. In 10 minutes, we've created ourselves some pretty epic funk, or at least the start of some pretty epic funk. So Apple Loops, definitely cool. Check them out. There's more videos linked down in the description, as well as over at studiolivetoday.com if you want to learn more about using Apple Loops in your GarageBand projects. Alrighty, hopefully that helps you out. Where are we up to? Plugin. Ooh, plugin or app of the week. This week, we're going to look at Tape Cassette 2. Has everyone used this before? If you haven't, it is very, very cool. We'll show it. In fact, here's a track I prepared earlier that we'll be able to demo this on. This might work well on this synth sound, in fact. So if we play this, really cool, yeah? Really cool sound. But we want to make this a little more lo-fi. We want to grab this sound and we just want to like rub it in the dirt a little bit. So we can do that using the Tape Cassette 2. So to access this, we go to our mixer icon, we go plugins and EQ, we hit the edit button, and in any of these empty slots, we hit the plus. We can come over here to audio unit extensions. Now, Tape Cassette 2 is a free plugin. You can download it from the App Store. There's a link down in the description of this video, or just go to the App Store and search Tape Cassette 2. Now, our friends at Calum Audio, they created Tape Cassette, which was really cool, but it looked ugly. It had a really crappy looking interface. And I'll say that with love, because it still worked amazingly, but the interface looked a wee bit shite, as our friend Patrick would say. But Tape Cassette 2 looks like this. Look at those delicious VU meters. Like, anything that has some old analog VU meters is already a winner for me. But here's the thing. We can dial in all of these settings, or we can use us some presets. So let's show some preset love here first, because that's where I like to start. So we'll just play this synth as it is. So out of the box, you can hear it's given it a little bit of warmth, that little bit of saturated warmth that we get from a tape sound. And by the way, how weird is it? Hands up those that used to use a 4-track recorder or record on tape. Yeah, how much time did we spend trying to get rid of hiss, warble, wow, flutter? Now we want to try and add it back in. Go figure. That's the technology of the future. So we can come in here. You can see here we've got a bunch of different presets that we can scroll through and take a look at. So why don't we go, I know lo-fi is what a lot of people like. Oh, I pressed the wrong one. We'll go to lo-fi. Hang on. The interface is still slightly clunky here when I'm using it with the mouse. There we go. Oh, it scrolled through. Lo-fi. All right. So you can see this dials in the saturation. We've got the low pass filter on there. We've got noise, wow, flutter, and our output meter. We've got auto gain on here, and we've got this IR, which is the impulse response from, I think it's a type 1 cassette that uses. So if we play this now with this synth sound with this setting, it sounds like this. So can you hear that? It's just giving it that slightly different sound. If we turn it off, let's do a bit of A-B comparison. So this is with it off. Turn it on. We're getting that saturation for that warmth. We're getting that little bit of tape noise and hiss in there, that little tiny bit of wow and flutter in there. If we bring this back in with the rest of our sounds. Right, yeah. And as Tom Rochelle says here, love Tape Cassette 2 for adding that analog warmth to things. Yeah, that's a really cool thing, because let's show you another use for this. If you didn't want a full lo-fi sound, what we can do, say we come back to this beat here. Hang on, let's just turn that off. You can hear that it adds that kind of hiss sound to to the playback when you've got Tape Cassette on. We'll turn it back on in a minute. But yeah, if we come back to this one and we add it onto this beat, so we'll do boom, and we'll go boom, and then we'll come on down to Tape Cassette 2. And again, free plugin, so go download it now, because why not? Play around with it. So yeah, as Tom Rochelle was saying, even if you didn't want to use anything else, so let's turn off the noise, turn off the wow, turn off the flutter. We don't want any of that. We could just use the low pass filter on here and use the saturation knob. We can just dial in some warmth. So if we play this back now, actually let's solo that one out to make it a little easier. We solo that one out, we come back in here and we hit play. So there it is with no saturation. Take a listen to this. So you can obviously go nuts with it. But there you go. How much warmer is that sound just using the saturation dial? Again, let's do some A-B. So we'll turn it off. It sounds like this. Really bright and clicky. We turn it on. Like, it really just softens it and dirties it up. Now, you may not want that sound. In fact, I don't want that much of that sound. So I'll just dial back the saturation to around about there. And then we'll bring that back. We'll add it back in on our synth. And then we'll bring these back in and hit play. So there you go. That has just, and I don't know why, I'm still getting that. I'm still getting the hiss through when it's not actually playing back, which is a bit weird because I'm not monitoring. Oh, hang on. No, I'm not even, when I'm not monitoring the sound, it's still there. That's a bit weird. That's unexpected. But anyway, So yeah, there you go. That's the Tape Cassette 2 plugin from Calum. Very, very cool. Definitely worth checking out. And you can add it, as you saw there, as an AUV3 audio unit plugin to any of your tracks and get yourself some saturation. Oh, you know what I didn't show you? I better show you the actual wow and flutter, because this is kind of cool. So if we come back in here, if we just turn this down, turn the noise down, because we don't want too much of that noise. So if you're not familiar with what wow and flutter are, we'll just solo this one here. Turn it on, come back in. So your wow and flutter is, your wow sound is this sort of sound. So that's that wow that you used to get from a cassette, and your flutter is a bit of this action. So again, that's using them to an extreme level. But if we just want a little bit of both of those, you can actually get yourself an interesting tone and sound dialed in. So it almost becomes more of an organic kind of flange sound, I guess. So if we bring that back into the mix here now. Yeah, cool stuff, yeah. All right, let's come out of that one. And that is going to be the Tape Cassette 2. So that's our plugin of the week this week. Check it out. It's free. You might as well. And Jade Star, as always, has dropped the link down there in the chat here. And once again, if you're watching on the replay, go to the links down below in the description, and you'll find it there. And if you did get some value out of those couple of demos, then yeah, please go ahead and hit the like button while you're down there commenting it. Very good point here. This is also available for Mac. So if you're a Mac user, you can download an AU plugin for Mac and use it on your GarageBand for Mac. We do not want to forget about our wonderful Mac users as well. All right, and as Bubba said, that's too long on the dashboard in the sun effect. Yeah, hands up who used to have a collection of tapes in the car, and on a hot day, you'd be like, oh no, I think I left my tape on the dashboard. And you go back and yeah, the tape, the plastic had melted, and oh yeah. Tapes were cool, but they weren't, if you know what I mean. They were fun, but not that fun. Let's continue on. What have we got next? There's going to be a long show today. I apologize. I was a bit passionate in the feature topics. We've only got one more, in fact. It's our resource of the week. And we're going to do something a bit experimental with our resource of the week, because I've showed this before in some other videos, but we're going to jump on over to a website that I really like, which is called freesound.org. So I'm just going to go to my iPad here and go to freesound.org. Hope that it's actually got my credentials logged into this iPad, so I don't have to log in. It doesn't, so I have to log in. Let's see if I can remember my username and password. This is always a test. This shows you how little preparation I do before these shows. So I didn't actually have myself ready for this. There we go. Let's hope that I've used the same default stuff that I normally do. This is where I look over and I'm like, oops, I'm not showing my screen, am I? No, I'm not. That's okay. All right, so freesound.org. What is it? Well, it is a website. Here it is on my iPad. It is a website that you can use. Yeah, fine, I'll use your cookies. That you can use to download samples and loops and sounds. It is Freesound, freesound.org. You need to sign up for a free account, but once you do that, you can search for sounds and you can search for any sound you like. Now, here's the thing. Be really careful, because there are free to use sounds. There are sounds that you can use for free, but you need to use attribution. And there are sounds that you can't use in a project that you choose to release. So keep an eye on that. We'll show you as we go through, but I'm over here in my iPad, because let's just check out what tempo. So we'll leave it at 110. So what we're going to do is find a loop that's at 110 BPM, and I'll show you how we can download and bring it into our GarageBand project here from freesound.org. It's actually super simple. So here on freesound.org, so what I might do is I kind of want like a hi-hat, like a topper. I want a topper loop. So if I type topper and 110, what we should be able to do is, I bet you that there's some loops in here. Nope, search no results. That's all right. What if we go hats and 110? So, but the reason I'm putting 110 in there is that I want to try and make sure I find one that's at 110 BPM. Now, there are ways you can adjust it. I've showed before there's something called Audio Stretch, which is a very cool app that you can use to stretch your audio loops. So if you get something that's 100 BPM, you can use Audio Stretch to make it 110, then bring it into your project. I show that in another video that you can find on the channel. Just search Pete John's Audio Stretch. But for now, let's see if we can find a nice little, here's a hats groove, a 2-bar hats groove. Let's see if this is going to work. We'll tap on that one. Here it is. We can preview the sound by hitting the play button. That might work. Yeah, is that going to work? We'll try it anyway. This is the thing. You can use trial and error. Now, let's just see. So this is Creative Commons. So this is licensed under the Attribution Non-Commercial License. Okay, so maybe I won't use this one because when you search that, if it's the non-commercial license, it means that you need to attribute it. You need to say this loop was made by whoever the creator was, this person, Colin Sullivan, and you need to put there, you can't release it as a commercial work. So maybe we'll try a different sound here. If we go back, we'll find another loop here. Oh, that was the groove one. What's this one? This is hi-hat loop 7. We'll see the license. So yeah, Creative Commons 0 license. So this one's going to be a little bit better if we want to use it. Let's take a listen. Hit play. Yeah, that could be something cool to sit underneath. Just a little subtle hi-hat sound to sit underneath. All right, we'll try that one. Hit the download button. It's going to download it. There you go. Would you like to download this? Yes, I would, Mr. Safari. We'll hit the download button. See in the top right here, because we're on iOS 13, the download manager has come to the rescue. There it is. It's downloaded that loop. It's put it into our downloads folder, which means we can now add it into GarageBand. So if we come back to GarageBand, we go to our loops in the top right corner. This time we want to go to Files, and we want to browse items from the Files app. Now we want to go to that downloads folder, which will be out here in our iCloud drive. Where are you, downloads? Why can't I see you? There you are. And we'll grab this one. This is it. So it's the 509998 taken whatever. So we'll tap on that one. It'll bring it into here. And in just a moment, it'll pop up. There we go. There it is. Now all we need to do is grab this MP3 file, drag it on into our project. And look at that. Because it's at 110 BPM, it is lined up perfectly with the rest of our project. If we just solo it and play it on this track. There it is. Let's bring Benny back in on this. Bring our beat in. Yeah, bring our synth. So you hear that the hat's just adding that nice top end. So, and yes, I could have used a hi-hat loop from GarageBand here. I could have created my own, but sometimes just bringing in some random found sound that you can grab from somewhere like freesound.org can just really help it out. Now, if we want to loop this so we have it all the way through, then we can hit play on this. And we got ourselves some funk. Oh yeah. Gonna get funky with y'all tonight. I was at the disco when you walked down to me. You said hello and I said, do you know anyone that can repair my iPhone cracked screen? Sorry, that's not a good lyric for a funk song, is it? But there you go. There's some funk. There's some 5-minute funk for yourself, for your bad self. So freesound.org, jump in again. It's all about the freebies today, isn't it? We've got the free Tape Cassette 2 plugin, the free Apple loops in GarageBand, and freesound.org for your sound downloading. And at freesound.org, there's not only just beats and loops and things, you've got melodic samples, you've got one-shot samples, you've got sound effects. If it's a sound, ambient sounds, crowd effects, if it's a sound, you'll probably find something cool over at freesound.org. And like I say, if you do use one that's an attribution license, do make sure that you put the attribution in the description of your video if you're going to use it, in the description of your song or the video. All right, where are we at? Excuse me. I've got a couple of minutes left because straight after this show, we have a premiere video. My simple 5-point checklist for releasing your music with DistroKid. So I'll throw a link here in the chat, or if Jade's around, if she can do it, because I think I've got too many windows open now. But yeah, straight after this one, I'll be jumping over to that, and then Jade. In fact, Jade, if you can do a double link, if you can link to the premiere video that's coming up next, and then to your show. So Jade has her How to App series, which if you like this show and if you like GarageBand, you're going to love Jade's channel and her How to App series. So we'll jump in a couple of minutes, got a few questions to answer, and then we'll jump over to that premiere video, and then we will go to Jade's channel so you can follow us around. We'll be raiding around the place. So let's answer for a couple of questions. Russ says, does the drummers in GarageBand record in audio or audio and MIDI, the actual drummers? So it's a weird hybrid, Russ. It's it's MIDI, sort of. They use the same patterns, but it's uneditable. So if we come back over here, we can't actually edit the actual MIDI notes. So if you come into edit, it just takes you into here. So you can't actually edit the actual sounds, but it's also not an audio file because every time we change something here, it'll change the file, it'll change the audio up here. So it's kind of an automated MIDI to audio thing. But the annoying thing is we can't actually make it MIDI so that we can edit it, which sucks a little bit. I had a question about the saxophone, Essential Sax. Where was that, Mark? So yeah, best saxophone for iOS and for GarageBand is Essential Sax. It is a very cool saxophone app, and yeah, I would recommend it. It's got some cool features in there, including the infamous love knob. And people like it when I talk about Essential Sax because I say love knob, which is weird. It's called something else, but you can change it. You can make it a little bit nicer and call it that. I'm just trying to find my video here that we're coming up because Jay's probably preparing for her show, which is fair call. So yeah, there it is. It's the 5-step checklist for DistroKid that's coming up in just a few minutes. So I'm just going to paste a link down in the chat here. So if you are here live and you want to keep watching, you can jump straight on over to that in about 4 minutes after this one. I think I saw one more question that we'll finish up with and then be done. Where was that question? It was from... sorry, I'm just scrolling back up. So from Danny, have I checked out iOS 14.2 update? I haven't yet. So that's in today or tomorrow's plans, is to check out 14.2. I said at the very start of the show, I don't think it does anything super different, but I'll check it out. I think it's just some bug fixes and some stability, but maybe it's going to solve some of the problems. One problem that has been solved is the save to files bug. So I talked about this before, and I'll cover it in another video this week, but you used to have a problem where you couldn't save to files. You had to open in and then save to files if you were doing it from your iPhone or your iPad location. That has been fixed. So we'll talk about that in a future show. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is, yeah, so Jade says, for once I can't find a link for it, Pete. That's all right, Jade. I've managed to locate it and I've popped it there in the chat. I'll throw it in there one more time. So you've got the show that's coming up right now is the premiere of my video, which is this one here. There it is. It's linked down there. So jump over to that one pretty much now. I'll be going there, and in about 4 minutes time, we'll be running through that. So if you are releasing music with DistroKid, or if you're planning to release music to Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and other places in the future, this is going to give you some tips, because the questions I get about DistroKid are always from folks, or about any music releasing, are from folks who've released music and they've made some sort of mistake or something's gone wrong. The reason I did this checklist is that I want to stop things going wrong. I want to make sure that things don't go wrong when you're releasing, because like music, getting it right at the source is something that you want to do. You want to absolutely get things right at the source in your music, but also in your releasing. So things like your artists, the titles, your audio file, your album artwork. We're going to cover all of that and a bunch more in that premiere video. Runs for about 6 minutes, and then as Jade says, you can jump on over to hers, because we've got the Indigo Sunsets premiering their debut video clip after my show. So I'll handball you over to my live premiere now. From there, if you've still got some time, hey, it's the weekend, just hang out. You can head over to Jade Star's channel, and then after that, you can head over and check out the new Indigo Sunset. So I will see you folks in the chat in around about 3 minutes from now, and we will have a chat about releasing music with DistroKid. But for now, that's going to do it for a long extended edition of GarageBand Weekly. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you got some value. If you did, you can jump down and hit the like button. Leave me a comment or a question if you want to ask anything about GarageBand. But until, well, a few minutes time, please be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and keep creating music. Keep creating those funky beats. Let's play us out here with some funky grooves. Yeah. Uh-huh. All right. You know what time it is. It's time to go.